So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And here to preview another Champions League game. I don't know if it's fully sunk in yet. You know, every time a Champions League game comes around, you're kind of going, oh yeah, we have to do another one of these ones again. Then I get giddy thinking about the fact that Villa are in the Champions League. And it seems like an age ago since we beat Bayern Munich. So can't come quick enough, I think, Paddy, that we have another great European night at Villa Park again coming up tomorrow night.
Picked a bad time to go live. Nearly might need to fill there for a second.
Okay, so Paddy's got a dose of the sneezes coming on here. Well, we will be chatting to you guys today about Bologna, and it's going to be probably Bologna heavy, I think, this podcast tonight, because for once I've done a small little bit of research on the opposition, and we'll chat a small little bit about them. They're, I suppose, realistically, you could say that they're the Italian Aston Villa. A team that were very well coached and brought to the Champions League by Thiago Motta, who's no longer there, and they went to the Champions League kind of against the odds, like Aston Villa, and they were the darlings, I suppose, of Serie A last year. But there's been a couple of players have moved out over the course of the off season as well, and they've seen change within their team. Big change within their team. Players have moved about. So we'll chat about that as well. And I can see Paddy's taking us up with something there. So hopefully that sneeze has been quelled and he's back in the land of the living again.
Better. Would you believe I pulled a muscle in my back over the weekend sneezing because I've got a chest infection? And whatever that muscle is, every time I sneeze now, I pull it. So I didn't want to be making noise and screaming every time I sneezed when I was on. Anyway, enough about my problems. Bologna are not without their own problems, of course. They haven't bounced on with the new manager as they would expect it. There's always a first time for that, and they're waiting on waiting in the long grass for us tomorrow. And I'm sure they'll give us a very decent run around. And something caught my eye today, Neil. Samuel Elling Jr. Can play tomorrow.
He can play tomorrow. Yeah, there's no contractual agreement that he can't, or there's no reason that he would be stopped in the Champions League.
Unless there's a gentleman's agreement between the clubs, which is possibly in place, and it could be a written agreement.
I read something, and it was a quote attributed to him to say that he's going to play. That if he's picked to play tomorrow and he scores, he's not going to celebrate.
He's not allowed to celebrate.
He's not going to celebrate.
Okay.
Now, whether that's that was an actual quote from him or not, but he can play. He can play. I
had a flashback to Felipe Coutinho destroying Barcelona while he was on loan to them. So that were, albeit much later in the competition at that stage. But look, it's a strange grey area, and an unusual one. But who knows? We could have another Aston Villa player that we get a closer look at it tomorrow night. And you know what? Yeah, I think we probably will. I think we'll get some minutes from him anyway, because Bologna have quite a lot of injuries. You know, what I'll do first of all is I'll bring up some slides that I did on Bologna previously. So some of you guys might have seen this before. I did a bit of a Champions League files. I did the first 4 teams that we were to play, and then I kind of took a break from it. There's a lot going on about the pricing of the tickets and stuff like that. I didn't feel it was right to just continually bring out this stuff, because all the comments would have been, all people would have felt like it was rubbing people's noses in the Champions in the ticket pricing fiasco, if you want to call it that way. For some people, you know, it was a high topic of conversation, so I kind of stopped doing them after that. But I will return to doing them soon, because we're going to have like Juventus, Club Brugge, and Monaco and Celtic still to come. But Bologna,
we might as well go down through this because it's been so long since I've done it. So they were founded on 3rd of October 1909. The stadium is the Stadio Renato della Ara. Their head coach is Vincenzo Italiano. And last year they finished 5th in Serie A, and their top goal scorer was Joshua Zirkzee, who is now at Manchester United and who they're already talking about loaning out in January to Juventus. Is Joshua Zirkzee. And Juventus were heavily linked with him in the off-season as well. Italiano was born in Germany but played the majority of his career in Italy. He retired in 2014 and entered management in 2016 at the lower levels, working his way up to achieving promotion. His first year with Spezia in 2019-20 and kept him in the league the following year. And this tempted Fiorentina to move for him, where he led them to 2 Conference League finals prior to joining Bologna. So a very astute manager. Not really getting a brilliant tune out of this Bologna team. This year we'll talk about that in a moment again, but definitely a manager that has done his apprenticeship through the levels, I suppose, of football and of Italian football. 2 Conference League finals. Unsuccessful in both, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, yeah, unsuccessful in both. And now he's at Bologna and managing in the Champions League. So their traits, and this is, to be honest with you, I'm not going to say it's outdated because they still do. Well, it is actually, because they play kind of a 4-1-4-1 formation now under Italiano, or 4-2-3-1, depending on what way whether they're in possession or out of possession. But their traits last year were very much. The traits last year were very much playing either on a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, and that was, as I say, under previous management. Some of the transfers, I think the biggest news for Bologna have banked a lot of the money that they're going to get from the Champions League this year, and they've banked a lot of money that they've got from from sales that they've had. We know, like, the 2 biggest outgoings. I'll go to the outgoings first here. 2 biggest outgoings there, Riccardo Calafiore, who they would absolutely love to have in there in that back line. Gone to Arsenal, 45 million euros, and then Joshua Zirkzee, as we mentioned there, 42.5 million euros to Manchester United. Also saw Marko Arnautovic to Inter, and as we mentioned before, Lewis Binks has gone to Coventry, of all places. So maybe they've sent him there as a scout into the Midlands of the UK to scout out Aston Villa and to see what the Coventry faithful think about Aston Villa. But yeah, he was sold as well. In the off season, and they brought in Tees Delinga, somebody who I've done a podcast on before. Up and coming. Well, when we say up and coming, he's 23 years of age, but he was red hot. Young Dutch striker in the Dutch leagues, namely, I suppose, the Eerste Divisie, the first division of Dutch football. Then he moved on to Toulouse, and he had double-digit scoring seasons in the 3 seasons he was with Toulouse, and he signed for 15 million. And they also signed Kabiagi, who's most likely going to be out for the game tomorrow, for 10 million. Emil Holm came in as well, somebody that the mush that's over him, Italiano, will know from his time at Spezia. Martin Ehrlich, who's going to be out as well. He was somebody who was signed to replace Calafiore. I think he's out tomorrow as well. Remco Freuler, who they've signed from Nottingham Forest, who I think is a really good defensive midfielder to shield, and I think he'll be that man that will be shielding there as well. Jens Odegaard is in there. Benja Dominguez from Jimenez. I don't know a whole lot about him, that Argentinian guy. Don't know a whole lot about him, but they've got a lot of names here, and probably the biggest name that I think are the two big names, should I say, that we could see tomorrow, and I'd be surprised if we don't see tomorrow, is going to be Juan Miranda from Real Betis at left back. A very, very astute signing. So they signed Martin Ehrlich and Miranda. They did a Jack Grealish, a Purslow for Jack Grealish situation there, and they signed 2 players to replace Calafiore. They signed a left back and a centre half. In Martin Ehrlich and Juan Miranda, and Miranda's a fine player. He was free transfer. He was highly sought after amongst nearly every team in La Liga wanted him. It was a surprise he went to Bologna. But he did. He ended up at Bologna, and we're going to see him tomorrow night as well. And then the other guy then is Tommaso Pobega as well from AC Milan. A really good signing, astute signing there as well. Somebody who's going to give them an awful lot of legs that can play in that number 10 role or can drop back into an 8 or even to a 6 role at a push. But yeah, they've signed well and they've banked a lot of money from their signings, or from the sales that they've made. I'm not even going to go through what the setup and stuff here is. And the reason I'm not going to do that is because there's so many people out injured. You know, Ibshire I think is likely out injured as well. Yeah, so I'm not even going to go through that, and I'm going to bring those off the screen there because they're pretty dated at the moment. So,
did you say that Ehrlich was out injured as well?
I'm 99% certain he is. I read somewhere today that he was
hamstring injury. Yeah.
Yeah, he was injured. Yeah. So like they've got quite a few people out, like Martin Ehrlich, Lewis Ferguson, the Scottish player
from Aberdeen.
From Aberdeen. Yeah. Dan N'Doye, as well, who I had on the list there. He was a bit of a Swiss sensation at Euro. The Euros just gone as well. They're right midfielder. He's most likely out. And Ibshire as well, another Swiss sensation as well from the Euros just gone. He's likely out as well. So that they've a lot of injuries, you know. And when you pair that up with the fact that only person is probably going to be out for us is Robin Olsen, you know, things are we're not doing too bad.
Juan Miranda was a very interesting character. To the best of my knowledge, he had a great season about 5 years ago with Barcelona, where he played a good majority of the games, and they turned down a huge bid from Real Madrid at the time, but he never pushed on. Pushed on, went to Schalke and back to Betis, and he just never turned out to be the player that he was for that season 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whatever it was. But really promising talent that just never kicked on.
I can't understand. Like I thought I would have bet my baby finger that he would have gone to Barcelona in the off season. It's just like free transfer. Up and coming Spanish player in the Spanish national team, in and out of the Spanish national team, just made sense for a cash trap club, and he ended up at Bologna. And look, I know the power struggles that happen at Barcelona, especially when you're talking about known players versus maybe players trying to make their way. I don't know what happened there, but yeah,
there's a Colombian John Lucchini playing possibly at centre half as well. John Duran's mate. That would be an interesting matchup if it was to happen. He's a JHON as well. So it will be interesting to see if those two come up against each other, and I'm sure John Duran will be jumping at the bit to get that challenge up.
And he's probably been their best defender over the course of the year this year. So with Bologna's been a strange team. They found it difficult to score goals. They've only 9 goals scored in the whole year so far. 3 of them coming from their striker Castro, 2 of them from the right midfielder / left midfielder Orsolini, and I can't remember who scored the other one. It might have been that guy Fabian that plays behind in the and I think Odegaard might have scored a goal, but and Junior scored a goal as well. So they haven't had very much joy in front of goal. Put it that way. They've had quite a lot of draws recently. Like they've only won 1 in their last 6 games. They lost Liverpool obviously 2-0 in the Champions League, drew 0-0 with Shakhtar at home. And their only game came as a win against Monza, and that was on the 29th of September, as I read here from my screen. Just that's not coming from memory. That's not coming off the top of my head.
They hadn't won a game since a friendly in August, so that was their first win of the season. So they're not on top form, but we are now one of those teams that people are going to come and have a pop off us and want to win. Whether that means they park the bus from the start or whether they go at us from the start, it's going to be really, really interesting. But I anticipate they might have a go at us, seeing as we have leaked the first goal in a good few games. So it will be interesting to see how he sets up, whether he goes for it or not. But that's just how things fall. I would anticipate that's it. And remember, they need a result. They need to get something from this game, preferably 3 points, or they can nearly forget about qualifying.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't think they will go for us. And the reason I don't think that they will go for it, uh, like they've, yeah, I think it'd be difficult. I think it'd be difficult for Italiano with the start he's had to go back to Italy and say, well, we went and we had a go at it. You know, they lost the 2-goal lead away at Genoa at the weekend. They were up 2-0 in the first half, drew 2-2. They were like the game against Liverpool. Liverpool tied with them for quite a bit. No, they were in and out of that game. Don't get me wrong, they were in and out of it, but it was a drab enough game against Shakhtar in Bologna as well. You know, so it's not been stellar at this since they come in. But look, it only takes one result to turn a season around. You know, and no one's talking about Italiano getting the boot or anything like that. You know, he's a well-respected manager.
You're right in what you say, but like I don't think anyone's going to throw any flowers at him for going home with a 0-0 draw against Aston Villa. They've got to play Monaco at home, Lille at home, Benfica away. What's the other one? I think it's Dortmund at home, and then Sporting.
They got a shocker. They got a shocker of a draw, Paddy, didn't it? Liverpool, Villa, Dortmund, Monaco,
Lille. Porto and Sporting, yeah.
Porto, Jesus Christ, yeah. Benfica. They got a shocker of a draw. Good Lord, yeah.
Anyway,
well, hey, draw. Yeah, maybe he looks at this and goes, "We have to draw our horses at it." So, you know, because there's going to be games they're going to have to put 11 behind the ball at home. Okay. Yeah. And on the flip side, Paddy, we're going to throw all our horses at this as well because win and we're pretty much in tomorrow. And like,
I think if we get to 10 points, it will almost guarantee us at least to be playing in February. So, yeah, I think it's definitely one that we could hang our hat on getting 3 points if we go for it. The big question here is: do we make changes? Do we give players game time? And I think he possibly might. Barkley start. I think we might see Ian Maatsen start. I think there's a few like that we might just bolters like we saw Jadon start against Bayern Munich. I think he will mix it up a little bit, not to the detriment of the team, obviously, because we got such a strong bench. But I think just to keep players happy, he may do that tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Maatsen's a great shout for tomorrow. I think I would not be surprised to see Ross Barkley start as well tomorrow. I also would not be surprised to see John Duran start the game tomorrow. You know, we've got so many people that could start. I'm not too interested in predicting the Villa team. I'm more interested in sitting back and seeing it now because it's like, for me, you don't need to change the formula because we're doing okay. We're playing. Our system is working really well. Yeah, Mark Wood says that he talked up Dina means Maatsen starts. But our system is doing really well. And we always think that. We always go, oh yeah, so the interchangeability of these players that come in is almost a given. But here now I talk outside the other side of my mouth. Emery doesn't make changes for the sake of it. And Emery will want to go in, get the 3 points today. Yeah, they have more attempts on goal than Liverpool. I've watched the game back today, or a lot of the game back again today. I thought Liverpool were they were in control of that game for quite a lot of it. You know, they scored. Salah scored early. No, sorry. McAllister scored early, and then Salah scored in the 75th minute. But I thought that they were, that Liverpool had extra gears to go through. But yeah, like as I say, that's why Bologna came in and out of it. I thought, but they can have as many shots as they want against Aston Villa as long as they don't score tomorrow night as well. But going back to what I was saying, that Emery, we might look at this one and go, right, we have this one, and then we've got Bournemouth, and then we've got a League Cup game, and then we've got Spurs, isn't it? And then we've an international break. He might go, let's throw the horses at this one tomorrow and not change the team, get our 9 points on the board in the Champions League, and then we can look to mix and match then in the next few rounds if we need to.
It's not quite as easy as that. We've got Spurs, then we got a Champions League game, then we got Bruges away, and then we got Liverpool away. So we've got a murderous row of games in there. So
we do.
Yeah. And
that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm thinking he goes all out to get to 3 points tomorrow to be on 9 points, so that he can maybe play around with the Bruges game in between Spurs and Liverpool. He's got that opportunity to play around with that, and obviously has the opportunity to play around with the squad for the Palace game as well. Because look, spoiler alert to everyone, he'll throw out the under-21s in the League Cup if he feels he needs to. Because he's more or less
I think he's got too many players chomping at the bit to show what they can do for that. But I get what you're saying. There will be a couple of bolters in that for sure.
Yeah.
I would imagine with the start that Palace have had that this competition will be way down their pecking order too.
Yeah, I think so for sure. So yeah, that's why we said. That's why I was saying today. This one will probably be more Bologna heavy because I think it's more important to kind of understand them, a bolter into the Champions League like ourselves from last year, and obviously Samuel Ling Jr. going to make his debut in Villa Park. So I don't think he played in Villa Park sure he wouldn't have because he played.
He wouldn't have no.
Yeah,
he played at the best coach.
Yeah. So it's he'll be making his debut if he does come on. Look, I think it's a really interesting one. Interesting game tomorrow. Like I would never in a million years 2 years ago, in and around today 2 years ago when Steven Gerrard was left essentially told, sit up the front of the bus and shut your mouth coming home from Craven Cottage. You'd never think that you'd be in a situation where you'd be going like, yeah, we're playing a Champions League game against a team from Italy and we're pretty much fancy to go out and win comfortably. That's what the footballing fraternity expect. I'm not saying that's what I expect.
Yeah.
But geez, like the turning of the wheels. Now, if you were to tell me it was against Bologna, I would have thought we would have. But Bologna have obviously increased their levels over the last few years as well. So it's an incredible game. And the more I think about this new Champions League format, the more I'm absolutely really loving it. Not just because we're in it, just because of the level of opportunity it gives to small, like ourselves in Bologna, less traditional European teams. I like it.
Yeah, you must think back to, because we won't think of it tomorrow. We put our minds back 2 years. I remember the euphoria of the sacking of Steven Gerrard because it was just a miserable time, and then waking up the next morning going, where the hell do we go from here? Having those few days of uncertainty. And I remember those, like, they felt like dark days. Like, how do we turn this around? How do we bring someone? And then we heard the murmurings of Unai Emery, and it was just amazing. And
I remember.
I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams, even when he came in, would have said that in 2 years' time we're sitting here talking about getting a win from Bologna from our third game and getting a full complement of points to start off our Champions League campaign, our first Champions League. Obviously we played European Cup, and like what he has treated us to in the last 2 years has been nothing short of phenomenal. Yes, I'm broke because it costs an absolute fortune to follow what we're doing, and I'm raging that I can't get there tomorrow night, but my sickness would have put paid to that anyway. But absolutely amazing job that this man, we run out of superlatives for what he does. And even to listen to him, I know it was only in the written press, but he said, I don't care talking about the penalty, and I'm not talking about the red card. The referee said that's what they are, and we'll get on with it. That's up to the likes of me to give out about. But he's just a brilliant man, and he just concentrates on the football, and he's made the last 2 years an absolutely amazing 2 years. And to share that with everybody that listens to this podcast has been absolutely phenomenal. And it's been great getting to know everybody through happier times, because we had a few years of absolute dribble, absolute dribble, but we got back into the Premier League. You started the podcast, I came on, and it was a couple of years of just mediocre, staying up. We might stay up. Well, we did stay up. Great. We might stay up now that Gerrard has made a fucking shit of this before start of the season, and now here we are playing Champions League football, and there's people who never dreamed of going to a Champions League night going to be there tomorrow night, and it's absolutely brilliant.
And you know what, Paddy? You said that you're broke from Unai Emery. Well, you know, like you've done a lot of celebrating, but there's a couple of people in the chat that have done a lot of celebrating as well because Charlie Kane's wife is, I presume, your wife is bringing your child into the world tomorrow, Charlie. But the wife is bringing a new Villa fan into the world tomorrow in Sport Villa when they were good, like me in the early 90s. I missed out in the European Cup wins, so maybe that's a byproduct of Unai. Maybe that's a byproduct because look, it's no coincidence. Paul O'Neill here. It says, "Good luck, Charlie. Our first is arriving next Friday as well."
Brilliant.
Up the Villa. So congratulations to the two of you guys. That's absolutely brilliant. I've brought kids into the world in the UNI. I brought. And my first was my firstborn. Oh, that was in the Dean Smith, the Dean Smith era, and then the UNI Emery era as well. So yeah, he's a lot to answer for. He's a lot to answer for, from that point of view as well. Yeah, it's like the population of Ireland went up. It's like the population of Ireland went up by something like 114,000 after Ireland qualified for Italian 90. Everybody went celebrating. But yeah, no,
great news. Congratulations, guys, and best of luck in raising your new villains and keeping them Villa fans. It's going to be a whole lot easier than me getting my 19-year-old to where he is now as a Villa fan, and you know, to share that Bayern experience and watch it with each other. There's absolutely nothing like it when you get to that stage of their life. So I wish I was going. Well, part of me wishes I was going back to that again. But thank God I'm not, because I don't miss when you come on and say that the baby monitor is going off there, or you have to rush in to do whatever. I don't miss those days. Absolutely not. And I'm long past them. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, I've nearly my two trained now to cook the dinner. So that's that we're getting there. We're getting there. But just going back to this as well, I suppose, just to be remiss, you know, we're still ecstatic to be in the Champions League, and I don't want it to come across as if we're talking about this one as a foregone conclusion. Like, I know we've put a lot of caveats in here, but like when Villa are expected to win games, and that's where I was going with when I said 2 years ago I would have thought that the footballing fraternity would have had us down to win a game comfortably, specifically in the Champions League. But when Villa are expected to win games like this, a la Ipswich, Man United, Sheffield United last year, sometimes we don't bring our best play to the table, you know. So it's one, you know, going back to, will Unai Emery make changes? He might make changes to freshen up the side so this doesn't happen, but he won't make changes out of frivolity or arrogance, I suppose, just to rest players for the sake of it. So like tomorrow's team sheet tantrum will be interesting. I think it will be interesting, but I won't be too disappointed as I find a massive crack in the screen of my phone. So one of my kids, I might be down a kid. If anybody wants one, you know where to find me. That is a pain in the arse now. But yeah, because that was fired at me today by my littlest lad. So anyway, I was off topic there. But yeah, so I don't think he'll be making any changes just out of arrogance. I think tomorrow, I think he'll play it safe.
Yeah, look, we know he demands a performance from everybody, and the way he talks about it, you know that he's gonna demand the best out of everybody. You just don't know what Bologna team is going to turn up, whether they get the rub of the green, whether the ball bounces for them. So we're going to need to be at it. And the point I was making about the likes of Barkley and Maatsen coming in, that wasn't a slight on anybody. That's just simply rotation and keeping players happy from my point of view. And I'd be absolutely happy if either of them come in. And that's despite the fact that obviously the players that they'd be replacing have had a really good start to the season. So yeah, there's a number of decisions I would say need to be made. Does he start John McGinn, who didn't start at the weekend, who's only just coming back into it, and I'm sure is chomping at the bit to lead his team out of Villa Park as captain in the Champions League, having missed out against Bayern. So there's a lot of decisions for him to be made, and I wouldn't fancy making them, because I'd love to know how he keeps all of those. Like when we, I think every podcast I listen to has said that our bench at the weekend is the best bench we've ever had as an Aston Villa team. Because back when we were good in the 80s, there was only one sub, and it was usually David Guinness or Eamon Deasy. So we couldn't compare what we have now with 9 subs to David Geddes and Eamon Deasy, but absolutely unbelievable to look at that team sheet on Saturday and just go, my God, what have we got? An embarrassment of riches for once. A full firing team. And who was it that said it there? David Dwyer. Still a virtually fully squad. Finally fit. And Paddy Pulls and muscles sneezing, for fuck's sake. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Couldn't make it up, could you?
Couldn't make it up. No, couldn't make it up.
There you go.
I'm as fit as I've been in probably the last 4 years anyway, Paddy. So I'm okay. I'll cover you. Yeah, I'll cover you if you need it. Yeah.
Soy, before we go any
Yes.
further, mentions that the under 21 game. Soy, thank you so much, because I'm off work sick and I'll be able to watch this at 1 p.m. tomorrow without making any apology for it. So I look forward to watching that game, the under 21s versus Bologna tomorrow. It should be an interesting one.
As I just look over here to check to see what my work calendar looks like tomorrow around 1 o'clock. Yeah.
Say nothing.
Work here, a podcast here, and there's a 65-inch TV right there. So I don't exactly. I can double job. But anyway, I think that's going to do it, Paddy. I don't know. Is there much more to go through with this? I don't think I've anything else. I'm happy. Like as I say, I won't say win, lose or draw tomorrow. I'm happy, but it still is such a novelty to have to put the Champions League logo on the thumbnails, to start talking about Champions League, and then to be just blown away by the fact that it's here, it's real, and we've a real big game ahead of us tomorrow that could be hugely defining on other areas of our season. As I say, because I think tomorrow is as big a game as we've had. Yes, beating Bayern Munich opens up these opportunities for you, but you win tomorrow and you're not looking over your shoulder. You have got breathing space, very much so. I've got breathing space. So it's tomorrow is a big one. Tomorrow's a big one, and
in a competition that we don't know how we're going to pan out over the next few weeks.
Exactly.
It's important to have the scores on the board, so we're not looking for them, we're looking at them on the board. So if we do need to get to Bruges and rest players, or get to Monaco and rest players in order to keep our Premier League form to the level that it's at, then so be it. So yeah, I'm all for it. Get the best result we can tomorrow. Be that 1-0 or 4-0, whatever that may be. It doesn't really matter once we win the game. So 9 points on the board. Bring it on.
And remember as well, look, the elephant in the room, or the elephant not in the room, I suppose, really as well, is the thing isn't sold out for tomorrow. It's Champions League game. This is the game that was the people who stuck their finger on and said, okay, this is the game that we're going to vote with our feet. And that's perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable for anybody who wants to do that. This isn't casting judgments. But professional performance for Aston Villa tomorrow. Go out there. I don't think it's going to bother Villa in the slightest. There's no planned protest or anything like that. It just won't be full. I think that's fine. I think the players will be used to that. I think none of these players are there's airs and graces about them. So I think they'll go out and they'll put on a show, whatever they need to, and they will be professional tomorrow. It seems strange, but we win Saturday, they were in doing shape work on Sunday. Sunday morning, they were in doing shape work. Vidagani had it up on Twitter, pictures of them doing 5-a-side shape work. That's professionalism. That's brilliant. That's it seems small, but I go to work and I go to work the day afterwards again. Everyone does that, but for professional footballers, these guys want it. And that's where having a fully fit squad and having the likes of Mings and Kamara and McGinn and Leon Bailey and all these guys that are making their way back into the team, not guaranteed their place in the team currently, are being pushed in certain areas with regards to the team. That's where that brings, because they're the leadership group that are now and Kanza even as well, who didn't play the last day. They're the leadership group that are now they're breathing down the necks of the guys who've taken their places over the last couple of weeks, which then drives professionalism through the whole squad as well. So I just love to see it.
I think it's just the first occasion that we've actually seen it. They would be in for recovery after game ordinarily, or expected to do the recovery wherever they're going, be it at an international break or whatever. So I would have expected to see them in there, but I think it's just highlighting to us as fans that the commitment is there, both from the players and the backroom team, that despite the fact that we were playing Saturday, we're in Sunday and doing the work and getting the work done ahead of what had to be done Tuesday. Because, you know, it was important. They realistically only got one training day. So they needed that work, even if that's just shadow work and watch and shape and all that kind of stuff. So it's absolutely fantastic that, you know, we can see a little bit of an insight into this, and I really hope they do press ahead and show that Netflix or Apple TV or whatever it is that's in the pipeline. I think we're all going. I think we could probably start a spin-off podcast to talk about it when it comes around.
Yeah.
But I think it'll just be a joy to watch, especially the last 2 years, because the footage is there for so long now. It has the making of a really, really good series, and by God, it is a rags to riches story when it is eventually told. So I think it's something for us all to look forward to.
I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I really, really am. Just something as well that just popped into my mind there as well. I want to say thank you to somebody who reached out to me. They are an artist called Stuart Ryan, and they reached out to me on Twitter, and I was chatting to them or whatever, and they've done paintings of Paul McGrath as well. Same with Sue Verity, whose paintings are really good. If anybody, and I know, here's me saying, if anybody knows how to get in contact with Paul McGrath to get paintings signed, and knowing full well that we potentially could get in contact with Paul McGrath, but we're also trying to get in contact with Paul McGrath on our behalf. But if anybody else has the inside line or knows when he's going to be in Birmingham so that you can meet up and get it signed, as opposed to getting it done here in Ireland, that's really the catch. Please let us know. But yeah, so Stu's stuff is brilliant. But Stuart reached out to me and he said that he had some paintings of some prints of his painting of Paul McGrath that were actually signed, and he's sending me over one. Yeah, so I bought one off him. Yeah, and they're absolutely crackers. They're brilliant. So it's going to be up here behind me, and I've got a couple of McGrath shirts that we got signed at our gig as well that I'm going to get framed up as well. So you might be seeing changes to the background soon. But I just wanted to say thanks to Stuart. You know, reached out to me, didn't have to, you know, kind of, maybe I've said it before, we're building up a kind of a collection of signed McGrath stuff at the moment because he's obviously so important to me. Nice to have my own little museum to him or shrine to him or whatever you want to call it. It's there behind me. So thanks very much for that, Stuart. I really, really appreciate it. And as I say, I was happy to, you know, the second you said it to me, he goes, yeah, I'll be having that. And we did the deal straight away, and it's winging its way in the post. So check out his stuff as well, guys. Stuart, I think it's Stuart. You know what? I won't say I think. It's at Stuart Ryan 11 on Twitter. You can check out his stuff there on that as well.
Just when you mentioned Sue Verity there, do you know who Sue Verity's husband is?
Is it Sean Verity?
It is Sean Verity.
I didn't know that.
Man who famously managed us for one game against Liverpool in the FA Cup when we played all our kids because the squad had COVID. Yeah,
he managed the team to the FA Cup win, didn't he? Was it the Youth FA Cup?
Youth FA Cup win, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Do you know what? I didn't know that until you said it there, and I just went, "Who else do I know that's called Verity?" And I was kind of going, "I'll take a shot at this and make sure that it isn't her maiden name and that she didn't change it." But yeah, there you go, Sean Verity's. Yeah,
we're still involved, I believe, in the academy setup. So yeah, it's great.
Yes, he is.
If you get a chance, check out the work. Check out the work of all our artists because they do some incredible work and should be supported. I think that's what I'm missing on the wall there is maybe a bit of artwork. I wonder when one of them do Steve Staunton for me.
Here you go. There you go. There's one there for stand for you for sure. Bolg, yes. Neil's got one of those Army Man backpacks. I did. Timu's finest, Bolg. I never bought anything off Timu before until this yoke came. And I deleted the app afterwards because my only conspiratorial thing is that TikTok is malware and I'm pretty sure Timu is as well. But yeah, that yoke I could nearly fit if I ever get. That's just in case I ever get thrown out of the house because I could probably fit everything that's in this room in there. The bloody thing is massive. Yeah, so it's to intimidate American tourists as I'm walking around Galway City here with my big Army Man backpack. They'll think I'm part of the force.
Should you use the word allegedly with those two sweeping statements you made about people's businesses?
Which one, Timu and TikTok?
I'm distancing myself from those comments.
Well, Well, you can feel free to free market capitalism. Use them if you want. I think that they're, as I said, they are what they are. Do you think we're bugged by the CCCP? Is that what it is?
Probably should bug by everybody. Everybody hears everything, nothing.
Probably do. Yeah, probably do. But
Mark
so
thought it was a
good spot.
parachute for you to get out of
That
there quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. I might need a parachute after this. Yeah. So I definitely won't be walking down the stairs first in case there's anyone sent after me now after making those allegations against those two companies. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else, guys? I think we're going to leave it at that because, as I say, it's exciting. We're going to be back again tomorrow. Team Sheet Tantrum is 6. It'll be a bit later. The team will probably just be out by the time I can get on. So it's probably about 10 to 7. By the time I'll be able to jump on. The 8 o'clock kickoffs are a bit of a ball break because I have to at least put one child down. Otherwise, I'm truant in my fatherly duties. So I try and get the young fella down for about 6:30, 7:15, then run straight out here. So it'll be about 10 to 7 when that's on, and then, then obviously we will have the post match bang on full time as well. So come and join us for that if you do so wish. And lastly, I suppose just share this out to everybody. If you do, if you like what we do, share it out to everybody. Just make sure they're not Chinese spies because now Paddy has me spooked. Right. Going to leave it at that. See you all again tomorrow about 10 to 7 for Team Sheet Tantrum. Snuggle up now tonight. Get a good night's sleep because hopefully we'll be celebrating come 10 o'clock tomorrow night after Aston Villa hopefully do the business against Bologna in the Champions League. But in the meantime, everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.